Hello, world. Welcome to another episode of the My Movie Fix podcast. I'm your host, sir, and this is my safe place. I love talking about movies, and this is a place where I get my fix. Today, my guest to help me do so, once again, is Vito from the Not Your Father's Movies podcast. Welcome back, Vito.
Great to be back. How are you?
I cannot complain. How about yourself?
Doing fantastic. Happy to be here. Excited to talk.
Indeed. All right. Speaking of, tonight on the podcast, we're going to start with our movie fixes, aka the How You Like Them Apples segment, the section of the podcast where we let off some hot takes we've been holding on to. Then we are moving on to recommendations that we've been watching, followed by a full review, and of course, our send-off. Today's episode is none other than the new Adam Driver, Marion Cotillard film, Annette. Now that you know what to expect, let us get it started.
Do you like apples?
Yeah.
Well, I got a number. How do you like them apples?
Still furious about that. Still don't know what it means, but it's a good number.
It always gets me fired up. I personally have just wanted to scream, "How do you like them apples?" at someone and have it be the correct context.
Mm-hmm. That's like in my section when I said that for the first time. Don't know what it means. I thought it was something that precluded the movie. I thought it was just a saying, and he let the saying out. But no, it doesn't make any sense. It started with that, and now it's just a thing. So yeah, forget it. Let it be a thing. You know. So, yeah. All right, Vito, you're our guest. Start us off. What is your hot take? What is your movie take? What do you want to get off your chest today?
It's actually based on a recent movie, and it's one that was really, really popular. People really like this movie. And I don't like it almost at all.
When you started sitting saying people like this, you know how it's going to end.
People. You know who you are out there listening.
Those kind.
That sort of trash person. By which I mean the majority, it appears, of the population of the world. I don't like A Quiet Place Part 2, and I don't think it's very good either. I think it's massively, massively overrated. I think that people were just really happy to get back into theaters after being away for so long. I think they were happy to see just a big budget thing. And I don't think anyone is ready to talk about its kind of lack of quality. It's really frustrating to me because it looks good. Obviously, what's his name? Gosh, who's the director's name? I'm blanking on the name now.
John Krasinski.
John Krasinski, thank you. He's much more talented and skilled here than he is in A Quiet Place. Like this movie feels dynamic. It feels like he's trying out different stuff. But ultimately, I think it follows so many of the same beats of the first movie in terms of when people get in trouble and how they get in trouble. It felt really familiar and samey. And I love the first movie a lot. I thought it was really smart and really fun and cool, and an hour and a half, which is my favorite. But this one felt tired. It felt overlong. It felt like Stranger Things that was rated R. I just had a lot of trouble with it, and it kind of disappointed me seeing so many people just throw it up, being like, "Oh yeah, one of the best movies of the year so far." Like, really? Is it just because there's not been movies? Like, is that why?
I tried to. In my recommendations later, I tried to pick something, fun, because people kind of know me as the guy that just doesn't like stuff, right? And I was trying to avoid that this episode because two of the things I'm going to talk about today, I have a negative viewpoint on.
Fair enough.
And I wish you hadn't said that because I have no opinion on A Quiet Place 2 because I never watched it because I didn't like A Quiet Place 1. It's like, it felt like so many quote unquote horror thrillers, it was just a Murphy's Law movie where everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
Yeah.
You escape to a flooded basement.
Yeah.
The guy, he can't hear you. He hears nothing or he would have killed you. He can't hear you, but he still decides to come down to the flooded basement and just look around.
Yeah.
You're upstairs hiding in the bathroom, having a literal baby. Spoiler alert for A Quiet Place 1 if you haven't seen it. But he can't hear you or he would have came up the stairs and killed you. but he still decides to walk up the stairs and look around. It's just one of those things where it's just I feel like I'm watching a movie.
Yeah.
There are some movies that just kind of they blend in the horror that get your blood pumping and make you feel like you're there and what would I do and make you scared. But some of them are just I know I'm watching a movie because every single thing that can go wrong is going wrong. Oh, what's going to happen now? So I never actually watched A Quiet Place 2.
Mm-hmm.
I have it available to watch, but it's just one of those things where it's like I didn't particularly care for the first one, and
Sure.
from what I heard about it, A Quiet Place 2 is kind of more of the same, but not even. Some people loved it. Some people said it missed out on some part of the first. So it's just one of those things where it's like I'll get to it when I get to it, but didn't love the first, so probably not going to watch the second.
I would just say if you're ever going to see it, just put that on the back burner. Like I like the first one because I thought the characters were well drawn, and that I thought they hit the emotional beats really, really strongly. Like it's not special, but I thought that it was exemplary for doing what it did. It's simple thing very well.
Yeah,
and I love
there were parts I loved. It's like the beginning that was awesome.
Yeah,
that's kind of what made the movie. But the second half, I'm like, the deaf girl stuff. That was like I hadn't seen that kind of stuff in a movie before. I thought that was awesome. But then the ending was just like we're gonna make this a horror movie. you know? So
I hear that. But I have to say, I was just profoundly disappointed in A Quiet Place Part 2, and I think it's massively overrated, and people need to really bring down their enthusiasm a little bit.
Well, I didn't see it, but since you hate it, I think I might love it. So I might have to check this one out.
No, we can't be the yin and yang.
I'm going to have to check this one out. How you like the map? Let's take mine. So first of all, I'm Christian, believer in Christ. I'm a religious person. So take my take with a grain of salt for what I'm about to say. But I hate when movies lean into the blasphemy just for the sake of it, and people think it's edgy because of it. And, I don't think leaning into devil worship just for the sake of saying it's taboo makes your movie a good movie. I say that with the movie Hereditary in my mind. I thought Hereditary was an awesome movie for 92% of it. And then the last 10%, like I was furious. Like I don't. I'm what they call unsullied. If you're familiar with the slash film path, I don't like knowing anything about a movie. Yeah, I don't want to know. Like once I see like Spider-Man teaser, I didn't even watch it because once I know that I saw clips of whatever, like I saw enough to know that I'm going to see that movie. So I don't need to know anything further. But movies like Hereditary and movies like Annette, it backfires because I get in there and I'm like, I really wish I would have known what I was getting into because I wouldn't have come for this. So slight spoilers for Hereditary. If you haven't seen it, you're not going to see it. So I don't care.
Yeah.
But 90% of the movie is kind of a horror, spooky, what's going on. You've seen that kind of stuff before. People crawling on ceilings, kind of type of scary movie. And then the last 10 minutes or so, it becomes a full out, the devil is real. These are devil worshippers and full on praising the Prince of Darkness, and
they're resurrecting the Prince Payment, man.
Yeah, and me and my wife, again, both Christians, we're in the movie just trying to enjoy a horror movie, whatever. And by the time we walk out, like it just felt like I felt queasy, like it's like that, because like the last scene is like literally sitting around in a circle with the devil worshiping and praise Satan. I'm like, I don't want to be here. Again, that's Again, you have to take my opinion with a grain of salt. I understand not everybody's religious. Obviously, I hope everyone is because that's kind of the whole point. But it's like I don't like when movies just kind of do it just to do it. I feel like Hereditary was a perfectly solid horror thriller movie without adding that on. I don't know if it was taken to the next tier by having that in it. I don't know if that it made it more realistic or more. I don't know what was added by throwing that in at the end. And like the other movie, one that always comes to mind, I think The World's End, the end of the Cornetto trilogy.
Yeah,
it's like when there's devils at the end. Devil has a big, huge, cock just swinging around.
Oh no, that's This Is the End.
This is the end. There we go. Sorry, but yeah, it's like I don't. What are you adding? What is?
I think they just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I know. I get that. It's like, so I mean, I have a certain amount of respect for that ideology where it's we're not making fun of religion. We just think it's funny to do this or whatever. But
Mhm.
then there's some movies where it's just like, oh, it's taboo to talk about devil worship, so I'm going to lean into this and I'm going to be edgy. And I don't know. I don't particularly care for that type. I don't think it does anything, and
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
I'd actually, if I could piggyback on your movie take here, I really don't like Hereditary. I think that is also massively overrated. Like, I went to the theaters opening night to see that, and granted, it might have been because that was the first night I noticed symptoms of what ended up me having mono, which like wrecked my summer. But that first night I was alone. I was primed for this. I was ready to be scared. I wanted to see a horror movie, and I sat down. And unfortunately, it did not work for me as a horror movie.
Yeah.
I was really bored, and the audience I was with didn't know what to do with the movie. Like, there was a bunch of girls that were there in like their yoga pants and their Uggs, who were clearly there just to be scared.
Yeah.
And then there was like some older couples who were there, to see a film, and it doesn't seem like anyone really had, and no one was ready for the movie at all. Right? Like, the girls were kind of scared, but also laughing at times. And then the older people were quite disturbed. And then also I noticed kind of bored. And meanwhile, I'm here and I feel like this tickling in my throat. I'm like, oh no, what is that? What's that about?
It got me.
Payment, no.
Yeah.
And then when it finally gets to the end of the movie and it's actually revealed that it's all devil worship, I was profoundly let down. I said, that's it? It's just devils? Oh, come on. I thought that we were building to something here.
Yeah, it's like when she started crawling on the ceiling, whatever, people freaked out. Like, oh my God, it's like, I've seen that in 15 movies. Why are you scared of this? Like,
why is it scary? Yeah.
That happens in every, possessed movie when they crawl on the ceiling. Why is that? I thought the bursting in the flames, that was cool visually, but it's like, I feel like the end let me down as to what the movie was building up to. It's like, oh, this is.
I thought it was like a story about like grief or trauma or something.
Yeah.
And no, it's just devils.
Yeah. So, well, that's my take. I'm glad to let that off. Yeah, we're moving on to recommendations. That's all I got to say about that. It's out there. You deal with it. Think what you will. So moving on to our recommendation. I don't have a bumper for this yet. I'm gonna think of one. I'm gonna drop something in. I've been having issues with YouTube where if I do copyright stuff, I gotta cut it out, and so.
Yeah.
I think I'm trying to create a little bumper for my review section. If you are listening and you are handy with musical stuff, make something. I'm going to drop it in. I don't care. I will do it. I will promote you for making a 5-second bumper for me, and I will love you for it. So do that. All right. But recommendations, Vito, have you seen something that you recommend or just want to talk about with the folks?
Yeah. It's a show that I've liked for a long, long time. I'm not usually a show guy. I mean, I know last time I was on here, I recommended Made for Love, which now that I've
finished it,
I have seen a lot of it going forward. It is just as wild and strange as that first episode. Gonna have to report back once I finish. But it's funny, as someone that doesn't watch a lot of TV, now I'm doing another TV recommendation, but it's a show I've been watching for forever because it comes out so infrequently. It's called Luther.
With Idris.
Idris Elba, baby. Yeah, like one of my OG man crushes from way back is watching him with this coat that he's got. He's cooler than Batman. Honestly. And he's so tall, he's got the swagger, he's tormented and haunted. Anyway, so it's about DCI, Detective Chief Inspector John Luther, who is a genius detective working in London. But as the IMDb synopsis says, his brilliant mind can't always save him from the dangerous violence of his passions. Which is a pretty good way of putting it. It only has 21 episodes, and it's been airing. It aired from between 2010 to 2019. Every now and then he'll like come back and they'll do like 2 or 3 episodes and they'll call it a new series.
Yeah. That's one thing. I've seen it, but I thought I didn't know kind of what it was or existed. But it's been on for a long time. I thought it was just something that used to come on, but then they're coming out new episodes. So it's like I've never watched it. I've seen it, but that description, for those that don't know, I don't know when I'm going to drop this, but I was recently on the Not Your Father's Movies podcast discussing detectives. If I would have known that existed, I might have checked it out. It might have been one of the things I watched because I'm a big fan of detective stuff, especially smart detectives. So
he's quite a detective. And actually, for that detective episode, I had kind of forgotten about Luther because like I owned the DVDs from back when he was coming out with it regularly. They did 3 series really quickly, and then it was gone for like 4 years. Then they did 2 episodes. Then it was gone, and it came back for 3. And it just comes back so infrequently. I can never like keep track of when it's here. So I just remembered that the show existed the other day, and I sat down and we started watching it again with my wife. wife, and I was just reminded how much I liked the show. It's very dark. It's very dark. It's very like it's gritty. It's sad. Like it's very pulpy material, but it's really fun. It's just a good time watching like how charismatic Idris Elba is at the center of like every shot.
You have my attention.
Well, I hope you like it. Like, it's not some of the detective stuff that we were talking about on that episode, where he follows the clues. No, he jumps. He makes wild leaps of logic, wild. And you're like, how did that? All right, okay, I don't know. We'll just see.
Whatever, sure. It's one of those things. I like him in that specific type of role. I think he's a very charismatic, very interesting dude. I think Stringer Bell knocked it out of the park. He's very stylish. I love, like, I've been trying to get my wife to buy me like a NBA player jumpsuit, like, sweatpants outfit. And I keep sending her the picture of Stringer Bell in that jumpsuit because she keeps buying me like soccer player pants, like that. They're technically sweatpants, but they fit like they're real wide at the top and skinny at like, no, I want to look like Stringer Bell when he stands outside in the NBA player big sweatsuit. That's what I want, But yes, I think he's really stylish. As far as an actor, I don't know. I've seen when he tries to do this. I've really kind of give him the side eye at certain times with his acting skills. And when they talk about being James Bond, I feel like he can do the scenes, he can do the James Bond poses, and I think he'd be really good at that as being James Bond. But when it comes to the heavy lifting with the acting, I don't know, I don't. I've seen some, push the limits type stuff, but like I said, I really think he's really like when he's in his suave, cool, I'm a cool guy that knows shit kind of bag. I want to watch it. I want to watch it all day. So like I said, I've seen Luther, but I never actually sat down and watched it because I didn't really know what it was about because I only saw the like teaser commercials or whatever where he just looks cool in the jacket. So, but now that I know it's interesting and you like it, I might actually go check this one out.
He does a good amount of like intense staring. I think he acts very well, and he does a good amount of shouting too, which I love Idris Elba to do. Yeah. Like remember in Pacific Rim where he's like, "Today we are canceling the apocalypse." I was there for that. Stacker Pentecost.
All right, that is. Hey, where's it at? Is it on Amazon Prime? I know I've seen it there.
It's on Starz, and it's also on HBO Max.
Starz on HBO Max. That is Luther. Definitely going to check that out. My recommendation is not a recommendation. It's a what I've been watching. And buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be the first of two things I talk about today that I didn't really care for. It is Sweet Girl on Netflix. This is going to be a mini review because I need to say what's on my mind in the spoiler section. So I'm going to talk for 5 minutes about this movie, and then for 5 minutes, I'm going to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't seen Sweet Girl on Nexus, when I get to that point, I'll let you know. You can skip forward 5 minutes. But so this movie is Jason Momoa and Isabella Merced. I'm sorry, I don't know her name. She's like 14 or something. This is probably her first role. So I'm a big Jason Momoa fan. I think the dude's awesome. Ever since Game of Thrones, it's like I need to see that guy doing more stuff. He's a super big action star. He needs to be an action star. Like he's got that Idris vibe where I don't necessarily think he can Dave Bautista carry a movie, but I think I can see him be a big badass and stuff and love it. And I think he can play a certain type of character very well. So I want to see that. He looks like he needs to be in movies, so be in movies. So
absolutely,
I saw this and I'm like, okay, well, I'm down. It's Jason Momoa. It's a little like action type movie. Let me check it out. So plot synopsis: Jason Momoa. Oh my goodness! Trying to talk about what this movie is. It's an action revenge movie. I'll put it like that. That's what I can say in the non-spoiler section. I watched it because it's on Netflix. It's Jason Momoa. I want to check it out. And I was very disappointed. I'll put it like that. You didn't see this, correct?
That's correct. I saw the lower scores, and then I think you direct messaged me on Twitter, and then I was like, oh no.
So actually, I'm not going to do a pre-spoiler section. I'm going to say I saw this. I didn't like it. If you're listening to this and you're interested in Jason Momoa, go watch the trailer on Netflix. And if you decide to watch it, watch it. And from this point forward, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to be into the spoiler section. So if you decide you want to watch it, don't know what happens, skip forward. So basically the movie starts out, it is it is a soap opera level hospital drama. His wife is They start off with him and his wife and his daughter hiking and being all lovey-dovey and super family. Then his wife coughs. Uh-oh. You know what's about to happen. His wife has cancer. She's sick. Like, she has very, very expensive cancer medicine. He has to work 2 jobs, and they mortgage the house trying to pay for the cancer medicine. Then there's like a generic version that's about to come out, but the evil CEO from the expensive cancer company blocks the generic version, and his wife ends up dying. And there is the funniest. Oh my goodness! He right as she's about to die, which you know she's gonna die because he says she's dying. There's not like a beep beep beep. It's just her being sad, and she's apparently she's dead. But anyway, he goes into the hallway and he has why why and he literally like it's like a 40 seconds where he's and he gets down and he leans over and why you know it reminded me I don't know if you Boys in the Hood, when Cuba Gooding Jr. he after leaving from the cops he cries or whatever, swings, but like Snoop Dogg does a imitation of it where he's making fun of him and he just kind of swings his arm. If you've ever seen it on YouTube, and it's just, that's what it reminded me of, because it was really bad. And it's like, come on, Jason Moore. I mean, come on, director, because whoever directed this really didn't know what they were doing. And sorry, Brian Mendoza, my apologies, but you didn't know what you were doing here. But he was, oh my, just seeing him, the breakdown scene when he's in the hallway pretending to cry over his dead wife, I was like, okay, I know what I'm in for. You know. Then skips forward 24 months. He says, well, I tried to track him down and blah, blah, blah. And then I forgot the guy's name, but, you know, from New Girl, the tall guy with the glasses that was dating her for a while, whatever his name is, he's a journalist. He calls him up like, hey, I've got the dirt on the CEO. Meet me at the train station. Hangs up. So the dad goes out to meet him at the train station. The girl follows him. And apparently, you know, they switch trains like 3-4 times, and like a super secret assassin man kills the reporter guy and then stabs Jason Momoa and throws the girl off the train. He goes off the train and he's like, babe, are you okay? And he looks at her, he reaches out to her, and then it cuts to a few years later. 6 months later, she is in a boxing gym when they showed him earlier. She's by herself. She goes home, sits down, and then she's looking out the window, and then in the reflection, he's nowhere to be found. He looks in the window. There's a reflection in the glass. He kind of leans forward through the reflection, and then he's in the room, and then they're talking, and it's like something was weird about the way he just entered the scene. And I'm like, are they fight clubbing me right now? Did he die in that last scene when they cut from the train? They're not fight clubbing me right now when she's confusing herself with him. Because what I skipped out at the very, very, very beginning of the movie, they show Jason Momoa like running from the cops and going to the top of a stadium or whatever, and then jumping into some water. So, and that hadn't happened yet. So I'm like, well, he has to be alive, right? Because he's going to jump into the water later. But it's like, I got from real, the dad's dead the whole time kind of vibe from that scene. And then like they go everywhere they go together, for whatever reason, they split apart, you know, where she's by herself or he's by himself. They're never really together at the same place in public. And then there's a scene where she kills the CEO guy. Well, no, he kills, quote unquote, the CEO guy. And then the cops interview like one of the bodyguards later, and the bodyguard specifically says, well, they said that they warned him. And they said, it's like, wait, it's a big, huge guy. Why aren't you saying he said, you know? And it's like, why aren't you describing him? Well, they said this, and then they said, so like, I'm just getting, the bells are ringing. He's dead the whole time. They don't want to say it. Get to the end of the movie. He's about to jump off the bridge, and she's like, the cop's like, I talked to you earlier. You're the little girl. And she has like a mental breakdown. Well, I guess my name is Rachel. it's her. Oh my gosh, the dad died on the train track, and she had a mental breakdown where she was. I get. It's not even like where the camera, like the director was being tricky. It's like they were pretending she had a mental breakdown and she thought she was him, and oh my,
I'm so confused. I'm so confused as to why they thought this was a good idea.
Yeah, it's just. And then at that point, when she realizes her brain is broken and her dad is dead and there's still 20 minutes left of the film. Yeah, there's still 20 minutes left of the film. So like I can't do a full review because it would just be bashing on it. So if it's been about 5 minutes, if you're just making it back, I'm sorry, it's not a great movie. I'm done talking about it, but it's Sweet Girl on Netflix, and it's I don't know. So
I mean, it's nice of you that you didn't want to spoil the fact that there was a kaiju in the movie for all those people.
Yeah. Hey, wink, wink, nod, nod. But yeah, so that's Sweet Girl on Netflix. This is one of the things I'll talk about, kind of my thoughts on this. The reaction to Sweet Girl on Netflix. But suffice to say, if you skip 5 minutes, I did not care for it. I was trying to squeeze all my thoughts into 5 minutes, and I could not get them all in there. But not a fan. But I am a big fan of Jason Momoa, and I hope he does more stuff other than Aquaman. But yeah, okay, so it's time for the full review. What you people came here for? It's time to hey, found a reason to get that back in there.
I love that. I love that one.
All right, without further ado, our review of Annette.
First time I fell in love. Woke up next to the girl and escaped fast and far. But Anne has changed me. What I see in her is obvious. What she sees in me, it's a little more puzzling.
All right, that was from the trailer for Annette. So without going to the spoilers, we're going to have a pre-spoiler section and a post-spoiler section. But without going to spoilers, just talking in general, the trailer that you just heard leads you to believe that this is a very different type of movie. You watch that trailer and you think you're going to watch one thing. You watch this movie and you're getting a whole different,
It's incredibly misleading.
Yeah, that's woo. I mean, don't get me wrong, that does happen in this movie. That quote is from this movie, but that is not this movie. But yeah, so before we get into it, how did you hear about Annette? What are your thoughts? Because I heard some buzz about it. Like a few months back, people were talking about the musical scene, and not the musical aspect of it, and the fact that it's Marion Cotillard and Adam Driver in a musical together, and people were ranting and raving about it. And I had very high anticipation about exactly what I was about to watch. And this is a similar thing with, like I was talking about Hereditary earlier. I wish I knew a little bit more going in, because it would have not tempered, but it would have realigned my expectations a little bit more. I want to say that. So again, we're not going to get into spoilers right now, but if you're listening, I don't want you to go into this thinking you're about to see a traditional love story, because I think it does you a disservice. I don't think, like I said, the movie isn't that, but I don't think you're benefited by going into the movie being surprised by what the movie is. So I think it's fair to spoil just kind of that aspect of it, because I want you to, if you're thinking about it, I want you to kind of know what to expect when you're going into this movie. I think that's fair to say. But yeah, what are your thoughts pre-seeing this movie? Kind of, what'd you expect? What would you think going into it?
I've been hearing about it since the beginning of the year. It was really a lot of buzz about it. A lot of people really excited. And obviously Adam Driver is like such an exciting talent right now. And he picks bizarre projects to work on, but he's always very good in them. I'm a pretty big fan of his. My wife is too. And I heard Marion Cotillard. I was like, oh, that's even better. And then I heard Sparks, and I was like, Sparks? The guys that did that song, Angst in Your Pants? Like those Sparks? And then I saw Leos Carax, and I was like, holy rollers? Like,
yeah.
And so I didn't. So right there, though, knowing those four things, those four names, I was like, okay, so it's not anything that anyone is ready for. All right. So I actually didn't see the trailer until after I saw the movie. I didn't see anything in regards to this movie. I just walked in completely blind, and night it opened, and I got to watch it at home. It was great. And I disliked my time with it very much for about half of it. About half of it, I was solidly not having a good time, very confused, not sure what to think or feel. And it was really only the end that saved it. That made me look back on the whole thing as an experience that I ended up liking. But yeah, you were completely right. People should know this is not a happy, sweet love story sort of movie. It's not a traditional even musical. It's very odd. It's very off the wall. And just because there's two big names does not mean that lots of people will enjoy this. It's a strange little movie. And if you're open for some strangeness, I think you'll at least maybe won't regret seeing it. I don't know. Like even when I said, I was talking to Sir about it, and I was like, I can't even recommend this movie because I don't even know who I could recommend this to, but like, I really liked it. So that's sort of my general non-spoilery thoughts, I guess.
The last, I don't know, 5 minutes, I really like, okay. So
Did you cry?
No. Oh, no.
Oh, man. I ugly cried. I ugly cried.
Nowhere near that.
Oh.
So I appreciated how the last 5 minutes kind of made me vibe about the rest of the movie. But I very much did not like this. Very much. And it's so, because there are certain types of movies like this where it's just off the wall. You don't, not to spoil it, but it's very non-traditional. I'll put it like that.
Very happy about that.
Yeah. It's and there are certain movies, I can't think of any off the top of my head. I should have been more prepared. But there are movies like that where it's just like, we're going crazy and you're going to be along for the ride. And I knew this was a musical, so I expected a musical, and I got a musical technically, but and the songs weren't even terrible. It's the movie. Oh my goodness. So I didn't like this. I very much didn't care for it. The basic storyline, Marion Cotillard is a singer, like a famous, very traditional opera singer type lady. And Adam Driver is a very, like what me and Vito talked about, the most person I can kind of equate him with is Bo Burnham, because he kind of makes dark comedy with musical aspect, but that's not even really giving justice to what he is in this movie. But the story's about those two people falling in love, having a baby, and what happens therein. And I feel like this is the type of movie that it's good intellectually. It's like, because this movie said when this happened, it was talking about this, and this, it really was a metaphor for this, and this is that kind of movie. And as I was talking about, I wanted to bring this up with Sweet Girl. I very much dislike Sweet Girl because of how bad the direction was, the acting. I feel like the story, it could have been okay, but it's just, it didn't work for me. But there are people that saw that really liked it because it's just a movie,
They hadn't seen that other movie though that you referenced. That's probably why.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I feel like people had a much stronger reaction to that other movie than anyone would have to this one. But still, it's like, it's just people, they watched this while cooking. It was just not this movie. They watched Sweet Girl while cooking. It's they're sitting on the couch watching, and one of them falls asleep. It was fine. Me and my wife watched it. It was fine. And I don't watch movies that way. I watch movies to experience them and appreciate different aspects about it. And I watching Annette, I feel like there's a certain level of was a South Park term, fart smelly. When you're smelling your own farts, you got to get up your own butt about it. And I feel like part of me feels like if I were to recommend this movie, I would be that level of smart felly movie critic. Because it's like, you can't recommend, like, you can't just say, you tell your Facebook friends, oh my gosh, this was amazing, you got to check it out. Because you can say that on film Twitter, you can write a 5,000 word essay about it, and people of that circle will understand, appreciate it, and they will kind of get it that way. But you can't just tell people, yes, this was good, go check it out. Because
if I was to post on Facebook, I would be like, watching cinema.
This is not a movie, okay? This is cinema. And you can't even say it regular. You gotta be quiet. This isn't a movie. This is cinema. you gotta let people feel the word.
The reverence.
So I have a clip. So this is my immediately thought halfway through this movie is a clip. While I was talking about How High earlier, this is my go-to watching a movie like this.
What the fuck is that?
There's a scene in How High when he just what? And every time I watch a movie certain like that, I just look at it and I say,
What the fuck is that?
and this is that. I'm watching this like, what the fuck am I watching?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, again, at the end,
Agreed.
it made me like, okay, I get it, but I didn't need this. I feel like you could cut 20 minutes from the middle of it and it wouldn't make a difference one way or the other. And it's just, you still get the vibe, you still get what the movie's about. So it's just, this is a whole lot of fart smelly, I'm making a movie. I am a director. Kind of, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
you get it. It's like, this is an acting exercise. This is actors showing that they, you know, I don't know, they have range or they make off the beaten path indie type films.
If you looked at his last movie, which I'm sorry, actually is not Holy Rollers, it's Holy Motors. Holy Rollers is a different movie, came out around the same time. But Holy Motors, it is a lot. It's a lot kind of like this. And this is just how Leos Carax works. It's very experimental, incredibly indie, and kind of up his own ass, right? But I don't know. It's so hard to describe without doing spoilers.
Yeah. I'm gonna use the dreaded Q word, but Quentin Tarantino is up his own ass in a mainstream type of way, and he is up his own ass in a film critic, film Twitter kind of way. I'll put it like that.
One is really engaging to watch, and the other is a little bit of a chore, but you feel real smart.
Yeah. It's like, no, you wouldn't get it. You know, this is the kind of movie where somebody says, "Was that good?" Well, it was good for somebody like me, but you wouldn't get it. You know,
I don't want to recommend this to someone with your capabilities.
Yeah. So I mean, we're gonna have to get into spoilers to talk about exactly what this is, but I mean, acting wise, let's just, you know, forget about what the movie is and how, you know, what's going on. But acting wise, I thought I was blown away, you know, just by what I was watching. I think, you know, watching Adam Driver in Girls, it's like, I know people's like, oh, this guy can do it. He's going to go. But like watching this, like, this is a movie star. Like he is an actor, and he's in this type of movie just to show like, I'm not fucking around. I'm an actor, you know, and I fully believed him when he's being a comedian. Like that's, so I'm a big stand-up comedy fan. I've watched, I don't know how many stand-up comedic videos and audio recordings in my library, but it's like stand-up comedy is hard, especially like when you're watching the experts do it, the Louis C.K.'s, the Dave Chappelle's, like John Mulaney, when I watched the kid at
Kid Gorgeous.
Kid Gorgeous, it's like you're watching it and this is a fine-tuned machine. He practices I don't know how many times, the rhythm, like this takes skill to do. And then watching Adam Driver up on stage, I fully believe like if he just chose to live that life, he could be this type of comedian. He just, like, you can't just act, you know, like a comedian, like maybe the Louis C.K. type where you're just kind of talking, you know, if you got the words, maybe you can say the rhythm right, but like this type of comedian, just the fact that he can be that type of person on stage in a movie, it's like he's a great actor, you know. So I really just appreciate that aspect of it. I just really like watching this guy act and his skill level and what he can do as, you know, behind the camera, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But and then, you know, Marion Cotillard, it's like,
when is she bad? That's what I want to ask. Like at this point, it's just like, oh, okay, it's Marion Cotillard. Yeah.
There are too many similarities between her character in this and Inception.
That's a lot.
Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, it's just the acting is good. It's like you have to.
And also want to shout out Simon Helberg.
Oh yeah,
fantastic! I did not know he had.
Yeah.
Who knew he had this range?
Yeah.
Who knew he could do this? I was really amazed.
And the more amazing, it's like those guys are making like $1 million per episode. They're making Friends money right now, and it's syndicated. They're making crazy. He's he's crazy rich. He doesn't need to do this. Yeah, like a lot of those guys are never going to act again because they made The Big Bang Theory, and it's got, I don't know, 150 something odd episode. It's going to be a syndication. Many. It's like
we're going to be watching The Big Bang Theory until we die.
Those guys are going to be rich for the rest of their lives. They don't have to do this. So the fact that he's not only in a movie, but in this type of movie, because, with the flight attendant or whatever that,
the HBO Max thing.
that's fine, but that ain't this.
No.
You don't have to dig deep in your actor bag to do flight attendant or whatever. But like the fact that he's in this, I'm like, okay, you have my respect first and foremost for just doing this. So I want to know what you're doing next because you're doing this type of movie with the kind of money you got. It doesn't matter. You're doing this because you love doing it and you're good at it. So like I would have never thought. What was his name?
Simon Helberg.
Simon. No. What's his
Oh, Howie.
Howie, yeah. I would
Howie!
never thought Howie could do this, but so more power to him for being there. But yeah, like I said, it's just the direction. I think it's great. There are a lot of the staging. I thought the scene and the set design was like the movie on a technical level was great. Everybody did their thing. The set looks good. All that's great. The actual movie itself, I didn't care for, but I can't complain about any of the. I didn't like the cake, but I cannot complain about any of the ingredients.
Nice. I got to say, just so for folks, since we're wrapping up I'm assuming we're wrapping up the non-spoiler section. I did like it. I also am not recommending it. This is very much like a weird Vito thing. There's a lot of movies like this. If you ever followed me on Letterboxd, then you'll see me rating those. I like the things that I like, and I like them for very personal reasons. And I like this for very personal reasons, not for fart smelly reasons, not for I was watching cinema. Sorry, yeah. I was watching cinema. No, no, I have very personal reasons for it. And I very much, I can't say I enjoyed myself, but I went through an emotional journey with it that I think was worthwhile. And I will be returning to this. I've been listening to the music. So if you're in for a weirdo time, then I guess watch this. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
It's like you gotta know I don't know the people listening. There are people listening that I don't personally know. So it's like there's a very specific type of person that I can recommend this to. But if you weren't that exact type of person, you're gonna have a very bad time, And
yeah.
I think of myself as that type of person, and I still had a very bad time. So it's just one of those things that some movies aren't for everybody, and this one isn't for me. But I don't think anything about it was bad. And if the director does something else, I'll probably check that out too. It's just I'm never gonna watch this again. But I might watch this again, So who knows? Who knows? But yeah, so that is our pre-spoiler review. Now we're actually going to get into what the hell is going on in this movie. So if you're not going to watch this movie, go spoilers. But I don't again. It's a wild ride, and it's all over the map. And I didn't care for it, and Vito didn't recommend it. But if this even 10% of you says, "What the hell is this?" Just like I say, it was available for free for me on Amazon Prime. So if you got Amazon Prime, just watch the first 10 minutes, because if you watch the first 10 minutes, you're going to know whether this is for you or not. So if don't get spoiled on it. If even part of you is just curious as to what the heck is going on, go watch the first 10 minutes. If you watch those 10 minutes and you say, okay, this is absolutely not for me, then come listen to the rest. But I just don't want you to be spoiled on it because I didn't personally care for it. And like I said, Vito did like it. He loved it. Just recommending it is hard because of the type of movie it is. So that's what I'll say. And from this point forward, spoilers.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
All right, we are in spoilers. Vito, you enjoyed this the most, so I'm going to let you take the reins. What do you want to talk about first? And just go. And I'll be along for the ride.
All right. So there's a couple things I just wanted to say really quickly that I don't think work very well in this. Adam Driver is doing a fantastic job as this stand-up comedian. As you noted, it's very hard to act like a comedian without being a comedian. Famously, people like Tom Hanks and like Punchline can't do it. And Tom Hanks is widely regarded as one of the best actors we have. And a lot of actors don't even try because comedy is really hard. They let comedians handle the comedy. Adam Driver, firmly a dramatic actor. Very good at this. It would help if he told more jokes, okay? Because he's playing the ape of God, which is already just a fucking insufferable thing to be. And he's in the back, he's eating bananas and smoking cigarettes and jumping around in a robe like a boxer. I don't understand this shtick. I don't know what he's doing here. And then he comes out and he's saying all this weird experimental shit. It's kind of letting you into his head. He's saying laugh, 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 right? Okay, but he's so self-loathing that it's almost. I wonder if it's supposed to be funny because I was laughing at him being so self-loathing, but I don't know if the movie thought that was the joke.
On that note, I didn't understand what the comedy, if it was real. I don't know how to phrase that because again, in the Bo Burnham type of way, there's breaks in the humor where you kind of let you know what's funny and you know what he's doing, but then the audience becomes a part of the act. Like they have pre-scripted lines, like the audience is in on the show.
Yeah.
And because they kind of go back and forth with the pre-written lines, it took me like, I didn't know what was the show, what was like the show becomes the movie, and
Right.
it confused me, you know?
Yeah.
And then with the second portion later, the audience was very much not in it, but it's like they still had their lines, you know? So it's like what the show was very like in highbrow type level. What is this? It's a question mark for me.
Yeah, I think it's more like performance art than it might. It like turns into more performance art, like with his final one where he says, "I killed my wife. I killed her by tickling her to death." Which I guess intellectually, I guess that idea is somewhat humorous, but it's not actually funny. But I think he knows that, and it feels more like he's performing this thing because he senses this darkness inside of him that's rising. So I really had trouble with that, although it let me into his psyche, and it's a dark, twisted fucking place. And then we go to the opera singer. I was confused by Marion Cotillard's job because, so just for like, I guess like a year, 2 years or more, she just goes to this one place and does this one song or this one show where she runs in the woods and then is murdered just over and over and over again. Like what is that? I've never heard of that. You're not touring, you're not going anywhere, you're just right here. People are like, oh, well, I guess it's Friday, time to go see that show with that singer. No, that doesn't make any sense to me. And so for the movie to sort of like hang itself on these two jobs, I was confused by the jobs, even if I ultimately appreciated that they told me what the characters were going through. I just thought it was really clumsy and weird, and not like it felt like an amateur did that. That didn't feel like a considered thing. I just could have used a little bit more explanation. And then finally, when it all comes down, and here's Annette, she's a little doll, and they're controlling her, and she can do this singing thing. And then Adam Driver spins off, right, and gets horribly drunk and throws Marion Cotillard off the side of the ship. I was like, what the fuck? What is this now? She's dead? We're halfway through the movie, and now finally the title character is here?
I'm sorry. I can't let you just scoot past the baby's a doll.
The baby's a doll.
you just said that and just kept going with the description. I'm sorry. No. The baby is a Team America World Police type doll.
It's like a wooden puppet.
Yes. And I'm like the stuff you're talking about with the opera singer and him, that didn't bother me at all because I'm just along for the ride. Once I see a doll baby, a really weird looking doll baby, I'm out. I'm just, okay, well, whatever's happening is happening. I'm not.
No, the doll baby actually didn't bother me because they explain it at the end of the movie.
Elaborate.
It's a very, at least in my opinion, I think it's a very blunt visual metaphor for she's a puppet being controlled by her parents. And then at the end of the movie, when the doll is left on the floor of the visiting room and the little girl walks out, you're supposed to be like, oh, so there's a self-actualization that's happening. She is cutting the strings between her, the memory of her dead mother, and her very controlling sociopathic father, and living her own life. And once I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's why it's a doll. Yeah, okay.
Sure. if that's your interpretation, I'm more power to it. It just, again, for me, I'm just letting it happen. I'm not questioning anything. I'm not trying to think deeper. I'm just, okay, well, this is what's happening now, so let's let this happen.
But we got to get to like the most interesting character, I think, here. Adam Driver's like the two leads are fantastic until one is dead, and then Annette doesn't really do much because she's a baby.
Oh, sorry. Let's go back on that.
What?
I don't think he killed her on the boat.
He totally threw her off.
I thought the water just washed her away. I didn't think he actually tossed her off. I think when she was drowning, he kind of just let it happen, but I didn't see him actually toss her overboard.
I think that he was being reckless to the point where even if it wouldn't be called like first degree murder, it might be like secondary because she keeps saying, Henry, stop, please, no, you're drunk, let's go inside. Like, I'm scared and all this. And he's just he's hurling her around, like no regard for anything of her safety. So maybe it's not like direct murder, but it's murder adjacent.
Yeah, so, because I feel like when he was murdering the other guy, and
he definitely murdered that guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, he was like, "You did do it." I feel like he was genuinely like, "No, I didn't kill her. I mean, I let her die, but I didn't. I'm not the guy you think I am. I just let her die. I didn't kill her."
I also am not believing anything comes out of his mouth.
Yeah, so I didn't mean to interrupt. I wanted
That's
to
okay.
I feel like I wasn't sure about that part. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I mean, yeah, great. Yeah. But I wanted to jump to that guy that he kills, the accompanist, who is a fascinating character. And it really comes along at the moment when the movie does need someone else to hold this together, because otherwise this is a very disturbing story of a really fucked up dad and his daughter who is at his mercy. This is a weird character, though. Like, this guy who's in love with Marion Cotillard. They used to have, it's revealed, they had a romantic relationship about a week before she started going out with Adam Driver's character. And he's introduced in this very strange way. He's playing this atonal song, kind of introducing himself, and like it's the only song that's not like fun to listen to. It's really hard on the ears, and I just think he really threw himself into this role in what is actually like maybe one of the most sympathetic people in the movie.
Yeah.
He didn't ask for any of this shit to happen, and he's just trying to protect the girl that he genuinely thinks, where it's revealed, is his daughter.
Yeah.
That was really heartfelt for me. How did you feel about that?
I liked the role, and I liked the fathering until at the end when they were like, he may be my daughter. I thought the relationship was kind of creepy, just the way he was kind of around her. But then it was like, okay, so he may be her dad. He was talking about we had an affair, but it's like it was before they got together, so it was more, kind of a little fling or whatever. But it's like, I really liked his earnestness, and his I shouldn't be here. I'm a world-class level conductor. I should be doing other things, but I'm here. She's got me trapped here, whatever he was saying. But it's like he was good. And then showing him later, like I really liked the scene where the camera was going around him when he was talking. It's like, hold on, I got to do my job right quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me get back to my job right quick. So I really liked that scene, and at the end, I thought was like, you think he killed her? He's drunk. You guys are at his place by yourselves, and you go, "Hey, BT Dubs, maybe her dad." And he's like, "Oh my gosh, if this comes out, it'll ruin me." But anyway, after you put her to sleep, let's go meet by the pool. He's like, okay, let's do that. It's like, no.
Let's go meet by the pool.
Okay, sure thing. So maybe run through the woods at this point. But yeah, so.
This Adam Driver's like 6'5" and Simon Helberg's like 5'5". Like, I would not be late at night with a drunk Adam Driver.
Hey, stop playing around. Nah, I don't think he's playing,
The big bear is angry.
Yeah, but go ahead.
So he murders him, right? And then he's going to set Annette up because she witnessed this murder from her bedroom. And he's going to set Annette up to sing in front of everyone at like what's like the Super Bowl, or they call it the Hyper Bowl, which is really stupid.
And it was in the UK for some reason. It was like, that's not where the Super Bowl is.
So instead of singing, she says, "Daddy kills people." Henry is tried and convicted, and he goes away. And at this point, like I don't even know what to think or feel. Like, I feel very adrift in this movie. And the thing that got me back is when it's the final conversation, dude. Okay, so I'm a little out on this movie. I'm a little confused. I'm a little put off, if I'm being frank. And when this scene happens, and he asks if he can love her still and not be involved with her life, and she says, "No, Daddy," I broke down, dude. I lost all composure. Because in that moment, I have a little 4-year-old girl. She just turned 4. I love her. She's fantastic. And I just imagine hearing those words. And it broke me. The movie ends and he's left alone to deal with his crimes and do his time. And I'm just sitting in my chair, just like heaving, just like.
She wasn't saying it to hurt him. She wasn't saying it as a dagger. She was just like, nah, not really. Can I still love you? Nah. Not really.
You were denied even that, And like I had a complicated situation with my own father growing up, and all that kind of came together into this one conversation. And I thought that it was so well done, and it just ripped that right out of me. And after that, I said, okay, I love this movie.
I mean, like I didn't have anywhere near that emotional connection to it, but I did think it was beautiful. Just the songs, and like I said, it reminded me of the songs at the beginning. They were just, what was it? The song that he taught, the song that Simon taught Annette. It's like, I love you. What was it?
I've been listening to it earlier when I was making dinner. Let me grab it here. It's I
think it was something like, I love you, I love you, I love you. No,
She's Out of This World.
I don't think
Or
so.
We Love Each Other So Much.
We love each other so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it's basically the only lyrics to the song, but it's just the melody, and it's just like it's like we love each other so much. We love it really worked, you know. So the ending of the movie, it that song and the we love each other, like the movie did such a good job of roping me in those moments that it was unfortunate how disconnected I was with the rest of the movie. I put it like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, the way it ended, and then like because the whole thing, even when the movie started, it's like, okay, we're gonna start now. And there's that song, you know, and so you're there. We're all a part of the show. This is
Yep.
a cast. We're putting on a show, and then at the very end, it's like, okay, stop watching me now. And it's like, so
Love
that worked, that landed, but it's like three parts of the movie worked for me, but the movie did not work as a whole. And so it's just like I feel like you could have just excised huge portions of this, and I wouldn't have cared one way or the other, but I still would have appreciated the bits and pieces that I did see, because this was so scattered all over the place. And like I said, this is one of those movies where the first 20 minutes I wasn't necessarily out, but it's like you gotta make this worth it for me. You gotta land this plane. And again, it's like the plane fell apart into 1,000 pieces, but you know, the front end was together. They did land the front, but you know, this plane is really in 1,000 pieces. So thanks for landing me safe. I appreciate it, but
Will not fly again.
will not recommend.
I completely agree. I think that right after that first song, which is such a barn burner of an opening, and they introduce the cast, Sparks is there. They show you the director. They show you the director's daughter. Like they show you everybody, and they're like, "All right, now let's start." And they do, and then the movie like crashes to a halt, and then it's so slow. And the pacing is so uneven. Like at times it's really quick, and we're burning through stuff. Like we love each other so much. We're burning through like 3 minutes of quite graphic sex, unexpectedly graphic sex. You're like, whoa, okay, all right. And then it slows to a halt like a crawl again. It never seems to maintain. It never finds its pattern until it's over, and then I was like, well, I think that 15 minutes of that could have been gone, like you're saying.
Yeah, that's what's confusing me about it, because with movies like this, it's so off the rails. I don't know if it has pacing issues or if that's the way it was designed, because the director...
Those could both be true.
Yeah, so it's like, this is the way the movie's supposed to feel, and you're supposed to feel out of it, and blah blah blah. But maybe it's just got bad pacing, you know.
Maybe don't do that.
Yeah, so like I said, this is just one of those highbrow type films where it's like, this isn't a date night or sit on the couch and for 2 hours and watch a movie type movie. This is a capital M type movie, in my opinion. So
yeah. I actually we're agreeing a lot. I really like that. It's just in the end, it's just like personal opinion.
That's exactly how we spoke on Promising Young Woman. It's like we very much disagree, but we agree, right? You know. Yeah. So I've said my piece to you. So do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up this review?
No, except just even if you don't like the movie and you do give it a shot or whatever, do go look up the rest of Sparks's catalog, because they have Edgar Wright just made a documentary about them that I'm very looking forward to checking out. As soon as it's not $20 to rent, we'll be doing that. But I've been going back and listening to their albums one by one, and they're very interesting. They change genres all the time, and they have like 30 albums. They've been so prolific. I first was introduced to them because I watched Valley Girl, the Nick Cage movie, and they have 2 songs in there, and those songs rock. And that's just what I've been so surprised by. And what I'm really happy about this movie is that I hope more people can check out Sparks, because I think they're really fun. But yeah, this movie, I don't know. Try it if you want to. I love it.
Yeah. All right. That's the best we can do. That is our review of Annette. And before we get to our send-off, Vito, can you tell people about your podcast and where they can find you?
Yeah, sure. My podcast is Not Your Father's Movies. Me and Mike and Jesse, we cover films in certain series, and we try and unlock what the dad movie genre is and try and add movies into it willy-nilly. It's really fun. We've had many guests, and Sir was one of them. He's going to be on again very soon too. But everyone can find this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you get them. Visit our website, nyfmovies.com. We are on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. Hit us up. Email us too if you want to, notyourfathersmovies@gmail.com.
Indeed. I will be sure to link the show in the show notes. You can check it out there. You can find me on Twitter at MyMovieFixPod. I am up to 9 Twitter followers. So, it's kind of, I'm kind of a big deal, I just, I don't want to toot my own horn a little bit, but we're almost to double digits. So,
influencer in the house.
Yeah. Get it on the ground level while, before I get a little bit too up, fart smelly up my own nose. But yeah. If you made me a bumper, I appreciate it. Email me at I'm looking at the wrong thing. I'm looking at your email address. Email me at mymoviefixpodcast@gmail.com. I appreciate that. If you have questions, comments, concerns, if you have a rant, if you have a movie fix you want to get off your chest, send me an email and I'll read it on the air. But yeah, that's where you can find us. Thank you for listening. And for our send-off, this is the portion of the show where we want to give you something non-movie related that brought us joy, something in our lives that we can give to you that you may be able to check out or something like that. So, Vito, what is your gift to the folks?
My gift to the folks is I just finished reading this book. It's the biography of Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson, who is a former executive at CNN and Time, who has written a lot of biographies. He's been very with the culture and trying to keep track of it and write about people, of recent past. And he completed this like almost 600-page huge book back in 2011 about Steve Jobs. And Aaron Sorkin used it to turn it into a movie, Steve Jobs, starring Michael Fassbender. But the book itself is really fascinating. It deals so much with how do great men become great? What are their flaws? It doesn't just talk about Steve Jobs. Bill Gates is in this a lot too. And it shows him warts and all, how much of an asshole he was, but also the great things that he accomplished. And that's a topic that's endlessly fascinating to me. And this book really, really did it well. I thought it completely nailed the character of this man, but also his struggles and how he didn't deal with those struggles sometimes. But yeah, that brought me a lot of joy. And I think my wife is really happy that I'm done reading it, because I would just be reading it and I'd be like, oh, hey, Steve Jobs said this. Towards the end of it, she would stop looking at me when I'd say that. But yeah, Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. I thought it was a fantastic book. Very much enjoyed it.
All right. Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. You guys check that out. Vito very much recommends it. And me, this one was easy for me. This podcast is the first one I've done since my daughter was born. So that's what brought me joy. There's not, I'm not going to recommend a podcast, an app, a video game I played. There's nothing that brought me more joy than my daughter being born, Jasmine. So if you're listening to this 15 years from now, your dad very much appreciated your birth, and it's been a bit of a roller coaster, with just things have been happening since. But being a father just changed, it changed who I am as a person in the past 2 years. So just having another daughter, another child, my first one's a son, but just having a daughter and just seeing her be, and just the joys of her, having her own little personality and coming into the world. And it's just like that, nothing, whatever my recommendation is on the next episode, even if it brought me joy, it pales in comparison, obviously, to my daughter's birth, so yeah. That's what brought me joy. And there's nothing else I could have picked this week. So that is that.
But also the Steve Jobs book is good, guys. Also the Steve Jobs book is pretty good. No, congratulations, sir. That's fantastic.
Much appreciated. All right. Well, that is it for this week's episode. Follow me on Twitter. Give me a 5-star rating on Apple or wherever you happen to be listening. Lie to your friends. If they don't like movie podcasts, tell them this is a podcast about Steve Jobs. They're going to listen. All right. Thank you guys for listening. And I got my fix.